Good day everyone! So, this is our presentation in our Prelim Task Performance in Arts Appreciation. So, let's start! Get to know the aspiring 10 artists together with their artworks. Let us introduce to you our first chosen artist. Meet our one and only Philippine national hero, Jose P. Rizal.
Jose Rizal was a great painter. He once demonstrated his talent for painting while in Dapitan. In 1894, Father Vicente Balaguer thought of a backdrop for the Holy Week. Oyang Dapitanya. Oyang is said to be a nickname of a girl whose real name is Leonora or Theodora. This woman in the sculpture may be his mother or his former lover. It is a clay sculpture of a woman doing laundry. He did this wood sculpture on his second year of exile in Dapitan. In my perspective about this art piece, it means a lot to Rizal when he made this. I think that this is to honor Dapitan and the people who take him in during his last days.
Our second artist, meet Carlos Modesto Botong Villaluz Francisco.
A Filipino muralist from Angono, Rizal. The poet of Angono single-handedly revived the forgotten art of mural and remained its most distinguished practitioner for nearly 3 decades. Filipino struggles through history chronicles the history of Manila from the first great Raas of Tondo, the Spanish colonial period, Balagtas Rizal, and the Revolution of 1896 up to American colonial period, which becomes the history of the entire nation itself. This mural showcases the struggles of Filipinos during the colonial period. For me, it showcases the bravery of our heroes and leaders during this time to fight for our freedom.
The third artist is Jose T. Hoya. He was a Filipino abstract artist and a National Artist of the Philippines awardee. Hoya was a printmaker, painter, mixed media artist, and a former dean of the University of the Philippines, College of Fine Arts. He pioneered abstract expressionism in the Philippines. One of his work is Torogan. These paintings were allegories of human nature and life cycle. For me, this Torogan artwork symbolizes power and prestige. It also emphasizes the culture and tradition of the Maranao people, which is a very helpful aspect of art to know its history. For me, Torogan is beautiful. The fourth artist is Pasita Abad. The itinerant painter Pasita Abad was known for her colorful paintings, mixed media, collages, and assemblages. Abad's style changed continuously as she experimented with painting on a wide variety of materials, including prints, pulp paper, bark cloth, ceramics, metal, and glass. One of her works is A Million Things to Say. It's named from a work produced during the end of her life. It refers to the multiplicity of textures, materials, and narratives in the works of Pasita, and also the complexity of her persona. My perspective as an artist to A Million Things to Say speaks for Miss Abad's work that reflect on globalization, race, culture, and humanity. For me, it represents her experience in the time of difficulties. Also, it serves as a stepping stone now to reconstruct art histories of minority artists. For me, A Million Things to Say is beautiful.
Next is Juan Luna.
Juan Luna de San Pedro y Nubicio Acheta was a Filipino painter, sculptor, and a political activist of the Philippine Revolution during the late 19th century. He became one of the first recognized Philippine artists. Spularium is a Latin word referring to the basement of the Roman Colosseum where the fallen and dying gladiators are dumped and devoid of their worldly possessions. At the center of Luna's painting are fallen gladiators being dragged by Roman soldiers. My perspective, this Spularium was the kind of painting that lent itself to the patriotic needs of the Filipinos and on which Rizal and others projected a nationalistic symbolism that helped the Filipinos to rise up against the political oppression of their Spanish colonizers.
The sixth artist, our very own Fernando Amorsolo.
Fernando Amorsolo y Cueto was one of the most important artists in the history of the painting in the Philippines. Amorsolo was a portraitist and painter of rural Philippines landscape. He is now popularly known for his craftsmanship and mastery in the use of light. It reflects the arrival of the Americans in the Philippines and the idealism of the artists to the Filipino society. The painting reflected the people's desire to escape from a complicated reality into simplicity. Our perspective as an artist to planting rice is that it shows the endurance, hard work, and the lifestyle of the Filipinos. In short, it gives a glimpse of the Filipino culture is one aspect such as the farm life.
The seventh artist is Benedicto Cabrera. He was fondly known as Ben Cab in the Philippines. Cabrera is the best-selling commercial painter of his generation and a prominent head of the local contemporary art scene. He has been noted as the best-selling painter of his generation of the Filipino artists. One of his famous work is The Sable in Blue on 1965. It is a major subject that recurs through Ben Cab's works through the decades, inspired by a real-life scavenger he photographed and sketched in 1965. The sable image has become the artist's vehicle for the transmission of intensely emotional moods. As an artist, my perspective on the Sable in Blue work by Ben Cab is that this female draped in rags showed a very creative and mindful masterpiece to highlight and oppress the condition of the country, especially the poor people. In terms of aesthetically aspect of the art, it is a very beautiful and great work for me. The eighth artist is
Agnes Arellano. Born to a family of prominent male architects, sculptor Arellano is best known for her surrealness and expressionist work in plaster, bronzer, and cold cast marble. Her sculptures highlight the female body and draw from themes surrounding sexuality, religion, and mysticism. Carcass cornucopia is part of the myths of creation and destruction in scape. These works show how from death and destruction, life can come forth. It depicts the rather morbid scene of a whole female carcass hung up and split open, while from her torn body emerges an infant. Her body part spewing forth takes on a new life as part of the universe. My perspective as an artist on Carcass cornucopia, it is a good and beautiful art about a woman giving birth or having cesarean delivery. It shows how painful woman takes in giving birth that can lead to death and destruction. Napoleon Billy Veloso Abueva was known as the father of modern Philippine structure through Proclamation No. 1539. He was proclaimed National Artist for Sculpture in 1976 when he was 46, making him the youngest recipient of the award to date. The Cross at Mount Samat, Bataan, completed in 1970. White Memorial Cross, which stand as the tribute to the combatants who lost their lives in the Battle of Bataan. It is a towering structure made of steel and reinforced concrete with a lift and viewing gallery at the crossed arms. The height is 95 meters, with the arms measuring 30 meters across, 15 on each side. The base is capped with slab also sculpted by Abueva. This beautiful artwork was built to honor and remember the bravery of Filipino and American soldiers who fought during the World War II. It gives me a reminiscence about the tragic and horrific battle during the World War II.
And finally, meet our last artist, Mr. Vincent Manansala. Mr. Vicente Silva Manansala was a Filipino cubist painter and illustrator. He was a member of the prominent Cruz Manansala Lopez family clan. One of his works is The Madonna of the Slums on 1950. His Madonna of the Slums is a portrayal of a mother and child from the countryside who became urban shanty residents once in the city. My perspective as an artist towards the Madonna of the Slums portrayal by Mr. Vicente Manansala is that it represents sadness and darkness of the story. Also, this masterpiece reflected the poverty, The painting shows how dangerous in terms of mental, physical, and emotional it is to live with the people in the slums, because we all know and we are aware that slums are vulnerable. But then, of course, for me, it is a very meaningful and beautiful artwork by Mr. Vicente Manansala. So all of us, all of the members of this group come up to this conclusion that all of the masterpiece that we've presented has its unique appearances. Most of its art pieces were part of our vast culture and histories. As a students, we cherish and appreciate these great works. It has emotion, beauty, and intellectual meanings. We saw that the artists who made those art pieces or masterpiece put their utmost skill, passion, emotion, idea, and expression through their works. And that's it! Hope you enjoy commemorating the works of our very own artists who became dedicated and creative in expressing their thoughts and observations about the happenings